webinar. Today we'll be learning about the AmeriCorps program, and we appreciate everybody who's joining this, and also welcome folks who are watching this recording, which will be posted on our YouTube channel. So I want to welcome everybody, and then especially welcome our panelists. And the AmeriCorps program has been transformational for SAHC since 2005. It's enables us to accomplish the conservation work and connect people with land work that we're here to do. And then I think we make a positive impact on people's lives who participate as AmeriCorps program associates. So our panel today consists of several permanent SAHC staff members who supervise and work closely with the AmeriCorps program members. And we will, I think we'll hear first from Kristy, our Associate Director, who is going to share kind of an overview of how we work with the AmeriCorps program.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to be here. I'm going to give a little bit of background on AmeriCorps and our involvement with Project Conserve. So most of you know probably that AmeriCorps is a federal agency, and it brings together people through national service and volunteering. And really the goal there is to improve communities. A lot of folks ask us, what is AmeriCorps? And it is kind of, and most people think it's like the Peace Corps of the United States, is what some people like to say. So AmeriCorps Project Conserve, we're talking about today, is actually falls under the larger AmeriCorps federal program. It's actually administered by the Conserving Carolina Land Trust and is funded by a grant from the North Carolina Commission on Volunteerism and Community Service. So in 2005, a group of conservation organizations came together and saw the need to develop a conservation AmeriCorps program in the state. And so we decided to apply for funding in 2005 for the Project Conserve initiative, and Conserving Carolina stepped up to the plate to administer that grant program and has been doing so ever since. And so since 2005, we've had the honor of hosting, if I counted right, 56 AmeriCorps members over those years. And those members, you know, ultimately achieve kind of a greater understanding of conservation and the environment, increase support for sustainable improvements to at-risk ecosystems in Western North Carolina, and as Carl mentioned, increase conservation organizations' capacity to really do the work that we do. And so personally, I can say without our Project Conserve AmeriCorps members, we would not be able to do the conservation work that we've been able to accomplish over the past 16 years. And so it is a wonderful program to be a part of. It's exciting to see that of all of those former AmeriCorps members, that over 90% are in conservation leadership roles across the country. And that's just the impact of one host site, SAHC. So the program has grown to 30 host sites now in Western North Carolina. And so the impact, long-term impact of this program is really beneficial to everyone across the country. So it's really exciting to see these service members really gain on-the-job training and experience that really launches their career into other environmental fields. So this year, we're hosting 4 AmeriCorps members, and today I'm going to introduce to you our supervisors for that program, and they're with us today. And I think Sarah Sheeran, our stewardship director, is going to talk a little bit about her program. Cheryl Fowler, our membership director, will talk a little bit about outreach and volunteerism. And then Angela Shepard is going to talk about our communication program and our equity, diversity, and inclusion work, and what our AmeriCorps member is doing there. So I'll pass it along to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Kristy. Thanks everyone for joining. And I see we have some previous AmeriCorps members as participants. Thanks for joining us. It's good to see you all virtually. So SAHC Stewardship Program, we're responsible for about 54,000 acres across Western North Carolina and East Tennessee. And our AmeriCorps members are instrumental not only in helping us with the monitoring of those properties, but as part of their term with SAHC, they help us primarily with conservation education. So when we are walking conservation easements and talking to landowners and neighbors, we're assessing natural resource issues and other conservation issues on their property, and our AmeriCorps members are really important to sort of reaching out to our neighbors and landowners and organizing volunteer events and leading volunteer events on SAHC properties to help improve some of our natural resources, river cleanups, trail improvements, and serving public lands in unique ways in the stewardship program. So we currently have 2 AmeriCorps members serving in the stewardship program as stewardship and volunteer associates. And we have Stephanie Long here, who is serving her 2nd term with SAHC, and Sarah Sussman, who is serving her 2nd term with Project Conserve and did her 1st term at AmeriCorps Project Conserve under Conserving Carolina. So I'll start with Stephanie, and she can say a little bit more about what she does at SAHC before switching gears to Sarah. Thanks.
So as Sarah mentioned, I'm one of 2 of the stewardship and volunteer associates, and a lot of what I do is talking with landowners and helping monitor our conserved properties. So I get to get out pretty often. I'm usually out with SAHC staff members visiting these properties and talking with landowners, and I help with the report writing for those monitoring reports. And I do also help with volunteer work days. So we've been doing some tree plantings and some trash pickup since I've been here. And I would say one of my favorite parts of the position is how much I get to get out and that I get to consistently get out. So I'm usually in the field at least 2 days a week with different staff members and, really all over our service areas. And it's been a really great way to get to know this area. I'm originally from Michigan, and I was new to Asheville when I started this position and when I moved here for this position last fall. So being able to get out so consistently and all over the place across our service areas in Western North Carolina has been a really awesome way to get to know the area, to get to know the communities here, and just spend time in the mountains. And another thing that I really like about this program and this position is that I feel like it's giving me really great and really valuable experience working in a conservation organization. And I know that's something that Kristy touched on, and I really feel like that is such a pull for my position and for this program. I got a degree in environmental science and policy, and I knew that I wanted to work in conservation, but I wasn't exactly sure what that would look like or what that could look like when I graduated. And I wanted to know more about what types of organizations are doing this work, and what do individual positions look like? What are the tasks in the day-to-days for these individual positions within organizations doing conservation work? And I think through Project Conserve and through serving with SAHC, I've gotten a really good grasp of what it means to work in a conservation organization, and specifically within a stewardship position within a land trust. And it's also showed me that I like doing this work, which has been really affirming and just helpful for future career things. And since this is my 2nd term with SAHC, I've also been able to dive a little deeper into some projects that I'm particularly interested in on top of my usual roles. So I've been working more with SAHC's databases for storing and managing the geospatial data that we collect in the field. And I've also been getting out onto protected properties with my drone. So I collect photos and videos for the communications department, but I've also been interested in looking at different ways that drones can be applicable to the work being done by the stewardship department. And in terms of what I'm hoping to do after my position ends, my term will end the end of this coming July. And I'm currently in the middle of applying to grad school, and I'm hoping to start grad school next fall. I would really like to learn more about how to use remotely sensed data, so imagery or other types of data collected by drones and satellites, that kind of thing. I'd really like to learn how to use this data in conservation and how to create efficiencies using this data in land conservation and stewardship. And it's an interest and a direction that's really been strongly influenced by my time with SAHC and by this position. and the work that I've had the opportunity to take part in here. So I think this program and this position have been a huge help in helping me figure out what direction I want to go within, for my career within conservation and narrow down my interests. And I really can't speak highly enough about the position and the program and SAHC.
Thank you, Stephanie. I really appreciate that. And so I'm going to introduce Sarah Sussman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm also a stewardship and volunteer associate like Stephanie. So I'm also out there monitoring properties with stewardship staff members and writing those reports and talking to landowners. And so the reason that I wanted to be at SHC was to serve at a reputable land trust and learn new skills and work with professionals in the field, and not just in positions that I might want to be in the future, but also kind of build a network with others who are in communications and outreach. And I feel like doing doing it for 2 years is good, because you can kind of change the position that you're in from your first year and like learn new skills. And also your first year can help you kind of teach others some new stuff that you learned. Something else I really like about being at SHC as an AmeriCorps member is I get to go to places I wouldn't otherwise have gotten to go to if I was a member of the general public. So being able to connect more with the place that I live and like serving that community in that way has been really impactful for me. After my AmeriCorps term, at some point I'd like to go back to graduate school. I'm not sure for what yet, so I haven't been applying to that yet, but something in environmental management is something that I think I'm interested in. Before this AmeriCorps term, I was doing restoration work at Conserving Carolina, and so I feel like doing something with a mixture of that as well might be of interest to me, but I just don't know yet. I'm still discovering it, and that's what my AmeriCorps term is for.
Hey, Cheryl, I think you're going to be
You, Cheryl.
next, introducing our outreach program.
Hi, everyone. I am Cheryl Fowler. I'm the membership director with SHC, and Kristy and I co-supervise the Conservation, Education, and Volunteer Outreach member, and the title says it all. He's this member reaches out to the community, works with our partners to educate the community about our the necessity of our land conservation program. And also vital to this position is our volunteer management systems, enhancing and managing volunteers. Honestly, I don't know what we would do without this position. The first positions that we had at SHC were one communications member and one stewardship member. This was before Angela came along, and this position has evolved from then to help connect people with land, which is one of our programs, and this position is vital to that. It helps get groups of people out on hikes and outings and get their feet on the ground and see the land that we protect, which is so important. And then also help coordinate volunteers at our community farm, or all the work that's done in the Roan Highlands. But enough about that. Maybe Logan can tell you a little bit more personally about what he's doing within the position. Logan.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for that introduction. Cheryl, like she said, the title really says it all. So the Conservation, Education, and Volunteer Outreach. I've had a really fun time so far working with SAHC, getting out on the land. A little bit about myself. I'm a Western North Carolina native. I grew up in Brevard, North Carolina, so have been here a long time and really love this land. Went to school at UNC Asheville. And then now this is my second term in Project Conserve, similar to Stephanie and Sarah. My first term was with the Hemlock Restoration Initiative, and my supervisor was Margot Walston, who is an alumni of the SAHC AmeriCorps program. So that's really cool to have had that connection even prior to being a member myself of SAHC. And yeah, I've had a great time getting out and working with volunteers. I was out with the French Broad River Academy yesterday at our farm. Tomorrow, I'm assisting with trash cleanup up in the Rhone with our Rhone stewardship crew, and then working on the sort of behind the scenes network of connecting potential volunteers to the program. And then on top of that, leading educational hikes and outings. Those have been amazing so far. I've done a handful of those and have some more planned for the future. It's always so fun to get out and just talk to people about the work that SAHC does, conservation in general, and just get people connected to the land. I really am a strong believer that if everybody went out onto, into Western North Carolina forests, everybody would want to work in conservation. And so I've had a lot of really fun bringing people out, showing them the land, showing them, what I've viewed as home my whole life, and then talking to them about why it's so important to protect that land. And so it's been amazing. Sarah, myself, and Laura, we've all only been here since September, so still relatively fresh to the SHC crew, but I've already learned so much and have already built a lot of relationships with the staff members. I think that on top of what Stephanie and Sarah have already said, that mentorship aspect of this position has been really awesome, to be able to lean onto a lot of professionals that have already been working in conservation for many years, and lean on their past experiences, hear their advice, hear their tips, and just know that you're going to have them, for the rest of your professional career and beyond to lean on, is really an amazing aspect and part of this program that I'm really grateful to have and experience. And so Project Conserve in general has been amazing. My time with AmeriCorps at both HRI and now SAHC has been spectacular. And I'm just really thankful to be a part of this program. And then future goals, similar to, I feel like I'm somewhere in between Stephanie and Sarah. I am applying for grad school currently, so similar to Stephanie, but am still on the fence on if it's right for me or not. So I'm gonna send in my applications, hear what happens, and then go with it from there. But as long as I'm working in conservation and I'm getting people out and excited for conservation and working on the land and making this land better for not just ourselves, but the generations that follow, I'm gonna be a happy camper. So just keeping on that road and moving forward, and super thankful to be here.
Thank you, Logan.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Logan. I think next on the agenda is Angela Shepherd, our communications director.
Sure. Hi, I'm Angela, Communications Director at SAHC, and I supervise the AmeriCorps Community Engagement and Youth Education member position. And this is our third full year. We had 1.5 year term, but this is the third full year that we've had this particular position. So it's the newest out of all the AmeriCorps positions that SAHC hosts. And it was derived precisely from our work in equity, diversity, and inclusion. SAHC has been a member of Everybody's Environment, which is a group, kind of a coalition of environmental groups in Western North Carolina that came together to look at equity issues in the field of environment and conservation and figure out how we can address this. And so early on, one of the things we talked about was the fact that networking is so important to people getting jobs and careers in conservation and the environment, and that we needed to purposefully help to improve our pipelines or our pathways for employment. That meant everything from youth education all the way up through internships, AmeriCorps positions, hiring policies, in order to improve equity in our field. And so this AmeriCorps position kind of came out of talking in those different conservation conversations around how we could do that and where the intersectionality would be between need and what SHC can do, like what we provide. And so where we saw a potential for that intersectionality to come together was in after school programs. So after school and summer camp programs, so kind of existing programs that were going on in the Asheville and Western North Carolina area that had a need for people to provide content. So we kind of facilitate with this AmeriCorps position, we were able to add capacity for us to have an extra set of hands to be able to go into those programs to either help facilitate programs, to provide like actual lesson plans, to provide lessons, content, field trips, either on site at the places where those programs are meeting, like after school locations and community centers, or to provide field trips on SAHC properties like our community farm. So Laura Fraser is the AmeriCorps member that is serving in that position this year. And I'm going to introduce her and let her take away, explain what she's doing right now.
Hi, everyone. Like Angela said, my name is Laura Fraser, and I am our Community Engagement and Youth Education member this year. So a little bit about me really quick. I'm originally from Iowa. I went to school there, got my degree in biology and neurosciences. Immediately after college, actually, funny, Kristy said this earlier, I did do Peace Corps for a little bit until COVID hit. And that's where we learned about AmeriCorps, because other people were like, oh, it's like Peace Corps, but in America. And so when I was evacuated, I came home and like, what am I going to do with my life now? Because I was still supposed to have 1.5 years of my life overseas. And so I was like, okay, AmeriCorps, let's check this out. And I ended up in Reno, Nevada, doing a year out there at Truckee Meadows Park Foundation. I worked at an arboretum and I was doing all of the educational programming there. The only difference really last year was because of COVID, I couldn't do anything in person. So everything was online and virtual. And I felt I very much missed out on that like connection with like the students and the community as well. And so I wanted to do AmeriCorps another year, but I really still wanted to work with education and with children. And I remember a friend I met in Peace Corps, he never shut up about Warren Wilson College, because that's where he went. He's like, Warren Wilson, Asheville, all the time. So I saw a position out here. I'm like, okay, you know what, Zachary, I'll listen to you. I'm going to apply out here. And so that's how I ended up at SAHC and out here in Asheville. And so most of my work right now is doing after school programs with some different groups in the area. And I absolutely love it. I think that's my favorite part of the job, is being with the kids an hour or two every day. And we have different things we focus on. We just kind of wrapped up with our agriculture, and we're going to focus on habitat and species coming up over kind of the winter months. And then we're going to focus on water and then outdoor recreation. I also do work on the farm part-time. Our community farm with Tamaria every Tuesday. So that looks like I help with the chickens. We do bird feeder installations for part of our Discovery Trail walk, salamander plots, and a bunch of other things that I can also bring my after school programs out to the farm, and I can help connect them with the farm itself and different aspects of nature at the farm. And yeah, it's something I really enjoyed. I love SAHC. I think it's an amazing organization, and I love everybody I work with. Everybody's been so supportive and helpful along the way. And I've been really thankful this year to be in person finally, especially with the students. It's something, like I said, I missed out on so much last year, and they're the best part of the whole job. Honestly, I go there and they yell at me every day, Miss Laura, and I just love that. And so it's something I've really picked up even in 2 months. It's something I'd like to continue. So after this, I would still love to work with youth education in some type of way or manner. But I also love playing in the dirt. So if I can play in the dirt, but also work with the kids and get them to play in the dirt with me, I think that's just an awesome little bonus for me. So yeah, that's been my time so far at SAHC and my time with AmeriCorps in general. And that's one thing I also really appreciate about AmeriCorps. You learn so many different skill sets and knowledge throughout like your time with it, especially like me, I was in Reno and I was learning one set of skills at an arboretum. And that's a whole different aspect than now I'm working here at a conservancy and land trust and all of that. So you learn so many different things, and you can kind of figure out along the way like what you really are passionate about and what you're like, okay, maybe I thought I wanted to do this, but I actually don't really love it. And so having that year-long commitment is kind of, I think it's a beautiful thing. And you can also, I think a cool thing, you can also travel to different areas in the country, so you can figure out where you'd like to settle as well before you make a whole move to the other side of the continent like I did. So it's been fun and I really enjoy it. And you meet so many amazing people through AmeriCorps, even like my other members. It's like another little family you have, especially if you've never been to the area before. It's like already, you know, people there, and it's nice to have that along the way. Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. I would like to mention that as our AmeriCorps members were talking, I was thinking about how many AmeriCorps members are on our staff now, and I think we currently have 4 former AmeriCorps members. that are full-time employees now. And I'm happy to say that we have 2 former AmeriCorps members that are on our board of trustees. So it's very exciting. Carl, I didn't know if you were going to say some ending words, but
Thanks, Kristy, and
yeah.
Stephanie, Sarah, Logan, and Laura. Want to thank you for your service to SHC and through the AmeriCorps program, and Kristy and Cheryl and Sarah and Angela. I want to thank y'all for your leadership and supervising our AmeriCorps program members. So we've talked about how the AmeriCorps program really enables SHC to achieve our conservation mission, and Kristy told you how AmeriCorps members, graduates of the program now serve SHC in permanent roles. And I think the thing we want to add to that is that since SHC became involved in the program, we've had approaching 50 AmeriCorps program members work with us over that time. And the things that y'all go on to do after AmeriCorps are just so impressive, but then even more important than that, it's just giving back to our world. And so it's really an honor to be able to have worked with y'all and maybe helped in some way shape your future careers. We have university professors in environmental field, engineers who are helping design environmental restoration projects around the country, city planners, environmental lawyers. There's just such an amazing list of breadth and depth in giving back to communities that comes from AmeriCorps members in their future careers. And so it's humbling to play some role in that. And it's also really gratifying, because I think we're all in this to try to help make a better world. And so we're grateful to all of you for doing that. If there are questions, this would be a great time for us to try to answer those. And if not, we do want to thank everybody for participating in this Lunch and Learn.
Carl, I wouldn't mind just chiming in, and I know Kristy said, just and Cheryl and others, how pivotal that members are to our programs. But I also have just been over the many years that I've been supervising AmeriCorps members, have been hugely impressed with the caliber of applicants and members that we have. I mean, any of our members really are functioning sort of at the staff level capacity. And so I just want to say I've always been in awe of how accomplished and impressive our AmeriCorps members have. And I'm really grateful, because I definitely could not do what I do without our members. So I'm really just expressing my gratitude to everyone here, and formally.
We are getting a couple of questions. And so one question is about housing, whether AmeriCorps provides housing, and maybe how, if given that it doesn't, how we meet that need with housing costs so high in our area. So I guess I can give the short answer that AmeriCorps doesn't provide housing. I don't know if y'all want to share a little bit about how the need is met.
Yeah, I can share. I do want to say there are 2 host sites in Project Conserve that provide housing. Other than that, they are in other AmeriCorps programs and across the country might provide housing. It just depends on the program. So in Project Conserve, you meet the requirement, you're eligible for food stamps. So that's how a lot of members kind of buy groceries and are able to afford rent. In Asheville, there's certain complexes that provide low income housing, and AmeriCorps fit that requirement as well. And then we also have budgeting training and all that and orientation, and your supervisors will try to help you. And previous members you can also reach out to and ask for help too, to find places to live.
And then I've heard too that they cram a bunch of people into one house. Right. Some members are living with 4 other people.
Getting a couple of more questions in that I can share. And so one question is about Tennessee and East Tennessee, whether there's potential for us to partner with an AmeriCorps program there. And I know we would like to. I'm not sure if there is a program yet there that's offering the opportunity. Kristy, do you have any more insight into that? Or
We have had former AmeriCorps members from East Tennessee, but there's more programming in Western North Carolina for AmeriCorps. But I see that someone in the chat mentioned the Encompass Council. I can ask them about other AmeriCorps type positions that might be available for us to participate in.
Thanks. Want to recognize our board chair, Matt Moses, who's asked whether there are ways that we at SHC can better serve you AmeriCorps members and maybe future AmeriCorps.
I would say because that it's a federal program, it seems that the program sometimes is threatened whether the funding will come through for that program. And so reaching out to your local state legislatures is really important to keep the program intact. I don't know if that was what the question was, but that's one way. You may have some other ways.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an important thing to keep in mind.
I might also add that
Cheryl.
I might also add that SHC offers a continuing ed stipend to all the AmeriCorps, in addition to what they get, their educational credits. We wish it could be more, but we know we offer them a limited amount during their 11-month term.
I was just going to say, as being in a position that has been with SAHC for such a long time, I think this position, there's so many like helpful programs already in place. Not to say that there aren't ways to grow still, but I do think coming into this position, even being remote coming in, there were such good kind of programs and structures in place for helping onboard me, onto what the position is, and the support from supervisors and the mentorship from supervisors. I feel very well supported.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think I'd also like to add to the question about AmeriCorps programs in other parts. Even though we may not be involved in those types of AmeriCorps programs elsewhere, AmeriCorps is one program that we're involved with. We also host many interns on an annual basis. And so those internships come from all over, some colleges and universities and high schools. So I would just say that that's generally been in Tennessee and in North Carolina.
Thanks, Kristy.
I wanted to add something too on the support. Not that I have an answer right now, but it's a wonderful, wonderful question. And I know in one of our recent Everybody's Environment meetings, we were discussing all the folks who have come onto the SEEK Council, formerly AmeriCorps members. And and that there are some challenges for folks, especially folks who don't have the resources, because AmeriCorps is a position of service. And so, as you were saying, there's a living stipend, but not really a paycheck. And so maybe there are folks who find it hard to find housing, and then also, hard to be able to commit to that year of service if they don't already have some sort of support system in place. So just regionally, that might be something that we can continue to look at, how we can, not just SAHC, but how different organizations can come together to support folks who want to be involved in something like AmeriCorps, but maybe don't have that support structure already available to them.
Excellent point. Anybody else have final thoughts to share or questions? If not, we appreciate all of you who've participated today, and thanks for everything you do for SAHC and in support of our conservation mission. And we look forward to seeing you at the next Lunch and Learn when we get that scheduled. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.